So the River Frome takes about 65% of the flow and discharges 65% of the flow to the harbour, and outflows at Wareham. And then you've got the River Piddle that drains the northern part of the catchment area, and that's about 25% of the flow. And then you've got the Corfe River and Sherford River, which each drain about 5%. Any excess nutrient that's not taken up by plants, once it actually infiltrates below the root zone of the plants, it's then actually will gradually infiltrate until it hits the water table, which will then flow through to the rivers and the harbour itself. The Environment Agency have got legal obligations to try and deliver environmental objectives across the catchment, and we need to make sure that people's activities aren't causing harm. So the consent order looks at actually whether actually the measures we've got in place from water companies, from agriculture and people in the catchment is sufficient to deliver the ecological objectives.
Well, about 12% of the nitrate that's going into Poole Harbour is coming from our water recycling centres, our sewage treatment works. And so that clearly is our responsibility. We reckon about 66% is coming from agriculture, probably about 17% comes from the sea, comes into the harbour from the sea, and the other might just be atmospheric effects. So basically, to remove our 12%, we would have to build nitrate removal plants, which cost a lot. They cost between 8 and 10 million pounds per treatment works, and that's very expensive. So we would prefer not to do that, and we'd prefer, if possible, to work with agriculture to get them to reduce the easier nitrate, I suppose. And that gives us, that also the benefit of that is that working with farmers delivers wider benefits to the environment.
So previously we've looked at planning crops and planning crop nutrition. What we've never really done very much of is looking at what the residue is, what were the leftovers, what's been left behind. The nitrate leachate tool is the first real glimpse of what we're leaving behind.
We're also looking for farmers actually to start taking action from this year, to start looking at their nutrient application and actually start to calculate and quantify for the first time how much nutrient they might be losing each year, and to actually try and improve their nutrient efficiency to meet a new target, which is 18.1 kilograms per hectare.
The nitrate leaching tool is a method for measuring the amount of nitrogen lost from farms and farmland into groundwater and therefore into rivers and out to the sea.
We had not completed anything like a nitrate leaching tool before on this farm, so we had to go right back to square one and look at all of our field data and farm management practices and make sure we filled them in correctly. It's a very comprehensive tool to make sure that it is measuring the correct output from the farm.
As well as the environmental benefits that will result from this, there could be some real farm benefits, because for the first time they'll actually understand how much nutrient they're losing, and actually some farmers we've worked with are losing over £100,000 worth of fertiliser to ground that they weren't aware of. So it'll help them to improve their efficiency.
I had no idea what I was with my fertiliser usage, or I knew what my fertiliser usage was, but what my leaching was, until I filled the NLT in some years ago. I didn't know where I was. And I challenge any farmer to know where they are and what they've been leaching unless they filled in some programme or other, whether it be an NLT or some other sort of programme.
The Poole Harbour Agricultural Group is completely independent from other bodies. It's independent from regulator, Environment Agency and Natural England. It's also independent from the water company, Wessex Water, as well.
FNOMs are a group whereby farmers will pay to join that scheme. And part of that is that they get confidentiality, so we won't see the reports, the compliance tool or the nitrate leaching tool results.
So our role is really to give farmers confidence to be able to have sort of open conversations with us, be able to submit their farm nitrate leaching figures that's established from the tool, and then we put that together and submit it as a catchment figure for the Environment Agency.
I think the fact that we're part of a group of farmers where the data is anonymised before it's sent to the regulator, it is important. It gives us more confidence that we can be open, we can be honest, and we can go on a journey towards being really efficient in terms of nitrogen use, rather than having potentially the regulator come after us as sole individuals. So I certainly feel that there's strength in numbers, and pleased to be participating in this scheme with other farmers rather than out on my own. That's the truth.
And so between 2022 and 2030, we've got a glide path, we call it, so effectively a sliding figure down to 18.1. So that means that farm businesses will still have to change and make adjustments potentially to their business, but it allows them time. And so it allows them time to adjust their business to still be able to retain farming, which effectively is so important here in this part of Dorset. But the other part of the scheme that we're offering is actually the potential for farmers to be able to trade nitrate credits between themselves. So some farms may have an incredibly efficient farming business, but they may be sat at, for example, 20 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare per year. So they're quite happily under the glide path for the next few years, but they will have to make adjustments to reach the 18.1 by 2030.
The farmers are realising the benefits of joining the scheme, and that's why they're joining, I think. Now, some of it can be because they don't want to divulge their information to the Environmental Agency, and some of them because they want to carry on doing what they're doing, and either hopefully they can buy some credits or they can make a bit of money by selling some credits.
And so those guys basically can pool the credits, and the farmers who are above the glide path can purchase from the pool, so that they effectively are offsetting their nitrate.
You can be trading and you can be carrying on as you are, wherever you are on the glide path, until 2030 by buying or selling. But if you don't wish to be a member of the group and just go straight to the A, you've got to be at the 18.1 as of today.
I think there is certainly a feeling that there's strength in numbers, and the fact that the data is anonymised. I understand that to many farmers that's really important, rather than going open book to the regulator. And also that opportunity to share with other farmers how we're working through this situation, how we're using the tool, how we're potentially changing our farming practices. And I think going forward, actually, the biggest potential benefit from this can be if we can do more and more ideas sharing amongst farmers, so that we can get better, become more nitrogen efficient, and be more profitable and more sustainable farmers.
If you're a member of FNOMS, and if you're following the rules of FNOMS, the Environment Agency can be confident that actually you're relatively low risk. So that enables our officers to actually focus efforts on farms we don't know about, who perhaps haven't engaged or haven't submitted returns to us. But we will be undertaking a smaller number of audits of FNOMS members, just to check compliance. But the vast majority of our visits will be to farmers outside those schemes. Across Poole, we are showing flexible regulation. So by allowing a nutrient trading scheme, we're taking a regulatory position. We're saying, okay, if you farmers demonstrate to us that you're doing all you reasonably can, we will enable you a bit of extra time to get to where you need to. Ultimately, it's in all our interest to actually help farmers to actually improve their efficiency, but also not put them out of business.
Naturally, there will be some farmers that are pushed to the limit. We'll have to think about all of their options, including potentially destocking, and that is a really hard thing. And I think the most important thing is that those farmers are going to have to innovate. A challenge creates an opportunity for innovation, and they're going to have to think really hard, and it's a daunting task for sure. So yeah, I wish them the best of luck, and we just got to keep sharing lessons.
We don't want to wait for 7 years and suddenly find out things aren't working. So Each year as part of the scheme, the agricultural sector and all the different sectors will need to be reporting to the Environment Agency the progress being made. So we'll have real-time data each year to make sure that we are on track. If we're not getting to where we need to, it may be that we actually need to bring in and apply for new legal powers, which could be a water protection zone. So we could go to Parliament to say what powers, additional powers we need to deliver the objectives.